Hopefully the audio holds up. If not, I apologize in advance. As many of you know, I discussed this creature, Tomi Lahren, about 3 years ago, and I said I didn't think she was a sincere conservative. In response, I had a bunch of sexually frustrated boomer men say that, "Oh, you must be a liberal butt pirate." A couple months later, she said she supported abortion, so stabbed the conservatives in the back. But I'm sure they will defend her then, and they will defend her even now after this little entertaining skit that we're going to examine.
I consider myself a teacher, a helper, someone who could possibly inspire people to be better. So
how exactly? Like, this is the great conundrum of the whole conservative woman phenotype. They seem to feel that being pretty on camera and repeating Republican talking points means that they're a great role model. No, you're not. Just flat out. I mean, we had the example of the Tea Party girl who posed with a gun in the Bible. She cheated on her husband. Kathy Zhu, everyone was simping over, and then she was doing the risque modeling pics, which if you want to do that, fine. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm only fiscally conservative and socially liberal. Whatever. But is that a good role model to young women in the age of TikTok and the age of over-sexualization, that you're going to do that sort of thing while claiming you're a conservative woman who's trying to, protect society against the liberals? Just saying. Sarah Palin, nice pro-American mom who then she gets out of politics as soon as she has the chance to make money. Comes out, allegedly she slept with an NBA player. In another case, I think she cheated on her husband, and then she's on the show singing "I like big butts and I cannot lie." These are the role model of conservative women, apparently.
With that being said, this is a PSA for all the men out there, and all the boys who think they're men, but they're actually boys. This is going to be...
It's funny you say boys, because didn't your parents name you Tommy? You know why a lot of those guys are boys? Is because they live in a modern society where they go to public schools, overwhelmingly female teachers. They come from households where the father has been driven out. Every organization meant to shape boys into men, like the Boy Scouts, the military, police forces, civic groups, they've all been inundated and encroached upon by women and empowerment and diversity and all this stuff that is irrelevant to the development of a human male into a man. But I'm sure Tomi Lahren doesn't want to actually live in a conservative traditional society, because then she wouldn't have all the rights that she enjoys.
Be the summer of canceling boys.
Conservatives don't care about cancel culture as long as it's targeted towards someone they don't like. So in this case, boys, the poor little girl got attacked by these men, or they mistreated her, so of course she's correct, and we can cancel the boys.
All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful.
I don't believe that.
All of my friends have something going on.
I don't believe that.
Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. They're all successful, they're all intelligent, they're all good people. But if all of these women, including myself, are having issues, then I have to think, it might not be us.
Maybe it is.
It might be you.
Maybe it
is. It is not
is.
just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country.
And sorry, Tommy, what's your sample size? How many men have you dated? I mean, we know from your college tweets that you appear to have been around the block a few times, although I could be incorrect. I'm not stating it as a fact. How many men exactly have you cavorted with that you can now make these sweeping claims? I'm guessing she has a very limited social circle, and she has a very specific phenotype in mind as far as who she will date. That's just my prediction or assumption.
I've made notes. This is how invested I am in
Oh,
this.
you made notes. You're angry.
About 2 weeks solid now. Are you
She's very angry.
actually single? That means single. That is the first question, believe it or not, that needs to be asked. And ladies, you should be asking it.
Single like Kris Kringle. The reason why a lot of men are not committing is because when they do so, women like Tomi Lahren, even conservative women, tend to disrespect them, because if something is too freely given, you don't value it. It's kind of like if you give a kid everything they want, they don't really value their toys or their possessions, their video games, because they've never been told no. And so if you, as a man, say, you're the most wonderful thing in the world, I can't live without you, she's going to treat you like you're some servant just trying to beg after her, and she's not going to really view you in a positive light. That's why these guys keep their options open. That's why they're not really wanting to settle down, because they realize as soon as they do that, as soon as they sign the marriage contract, it's pretty much over.
Because in 2020, it's not a given anymore that a guy that's actively pursuing you is actually single. Women do not want a pen pal. We don't want a texting pal. We quite frankly don't care if you text us all day or if you don't text us at all. If you're not going to make a plan to actually see us in person, not interested. Make a plan.
She's angry. Oh no, what should we do? Well, it's interesting coming to the texting thing. She's angry because guys that she finds really desirable are not reciprocating all the time, so they're not immediately responding to the text and saying, I want to be with you 100% of the day. If it was average guys who were trying to, like, you know, hey, maybe I could get with you, she would be doing the same thing, treating them like they don't exist, keeping them as a friend, not responding to texts. Let's just be real, okay? Tomi Lahren is a massive hypocrite in this particular instance.
I know it's not rocket science, but men of 2020,
you don't know what rocket science
it seems
is.
like it's pretty difficult for you to figure out. And I'm not a feminist, so please don't take
yes,
this as a feminist rant.
Yes, you are.
I love men. If you want to date a girl that has nothing going on, then that's fine. But please do not mix in people like me and my friends who have something going on.
Well, they're not doing so. That's why you're angry. They're not mixing you in. They're not mixing you in. That's what you don't understand. They're not mixing you in.
So value. There's a lot of women out there that I know that are my good friends who have amazing jobs, who work really hard, but who can't seem to find a decent guy. Even if they go up in age 5 to 10 to 15 years.
Oh, poor
because
things.
Those guys all want to
God
be
forbid.
with 21-year-olds who have nothing going on. Now, I love a good Instagram story. Y'all know I do. I love a good boomerang. I love a good whatever. But if that's all you do, men, if that's all she does, probably, Houston, we have a problem.
And the problem is that a younger woman who doesn't have all the accoutrements that you have hasn't become a media personality by doing pretty much nothing. Because let's just be perfectly real. Do you think Howard Kurtz and Larry King, those guys got to the positions they hold because they were good looking? No, they got there because they did a bunch of grunt work and they eventually were successful. If it was a less attractive guy who was in early 20s, or was an overweight, less attractive, appealing woman, she would probably not be in Tomi Lahren's shoes. So acting like you somehow have, you can brag about this and men can't measure up when you've pretty much done nothing, yeah, I don't take it seriously.
Once I'm turned off, I am turned off. And I don't care anymore. Don't be a bitch. Don't be butthurt. You did it to yourself.
Did what? If they're not talking to you, they don't care about you, they're going for another chick, what's wrong with that? Are they saying they all have to be attracted to you even if you're going to reject them? Maybe they just don't find you appealing. I mean, is it we're in this situation where you have to find Tomi Lahren attractive even if she doesn't necessarily reciprocate?
Okay? And it's no longer my problem. Now, it's become a personal problem.
Apparently it is your problem.
I do have high standards and high expectation. You don't really have to be Brad Pitt. You don't have to be famous. You don't even really have to make a lot of money or have a really fantastic job. You just have to be determined. You have to be in some way successful in that you want to attain some certain kind of success for yourself. You're
successful in that you want to attain some kind of success for yourself. She says she has high standards, but you don't have to be Brad Pitt. So I'm over 6 feet tall. I've got my life together. I have a house. I make a decent income. I have a car. But she probably I wouldn't clock on her radar. Certainly if you were like a 5'2" angry Indian incel on YouTube, you probably wouldn't clock on her radar. She's angry, again, because a very specific subset of probably Caucasian tall men are not giving her the time of day as much as she wants, and she's angry. But she's not going to turn around and date an average guy. You think if a dude works like the one she was actually dating, he only made like $60,000 a year. He had to put out on Amex $50,000 for the diamond ring, which she did give back. So let's give her credit on that front. But if a guy's not making that much money and he gets you a $500 ring, but he's still got drive, he wants to do better, is that going to be enough, Tomi, or is that going to kind of fall short? You know, it's just a question.
Driven, you have goals, you can handle a woman with standards, that's not going to turn you off, and you're going to put in the effort to be with somebody.
The woman has standards,
like
but you can't meet the standards for Tomi, so what's the point? Why are you angry at them? You can't meet the standards that she sets. For most men are going to be below her, but it's their fault for not meeting the standards, which many of them could just be genetic, like they don't have a good face, or they're not tall enough.
Be a cold day in hell when I chase a man.
Well, you should try. You should try. It might make you a little more humble.
Treat us like we are not good enough. No, The problem is...
The problem is that most men are not good enough for you.
Number 1, are you single? No, really. 2, make plans. We don't want a pen pal. 3, value. Value someone who has value. Consistency. Be consistent. Don't be great and then fade out. And then don't fade out and then think that you're going to fade back in, because it ain't going to work.
Yep, that's the way to make a woman crazy about you, is not to pay attention all the time.
Don't be a bitch.
What does that even mean? Could you reciprocate with another word? No, of course you can't. So, yeah, she proved very quickly when she got her ass handed to her by none other than Trevor Noah, who I don't think is funny. Just like, who was the other guy that they brought on? As soon as Trump became president, we had to have diversity in late night just to be able to show that they were resisting his evilness. I don't think he's funny. I didn't even think Jon Stewart or Seth Meyers are funny personally, but she got her ass kicked by Trevor Noah, so that says a lot. This is the reason why there's a lot of talk in the manosphere about how, like, MGTOW, they're copers, no women want them. But it's like, here, you see with Tomi Lahren, she's angry about men not paying attention to her, even though most of those men wouldn't even clock her, minimum standards radar. And then she's frustrated because the higher value men don't really consider her to be high value enough to settle down and want to commit. So it's just a constant debate. In that sense, I don't really think these guys are doing anything wrong where they're like, you know what, just, give up, walk away. I think they're being kind of practical. Because no matter what you do, no matter how driven or successful a lot of men are, they're not going to measure up to Tomi Lahren. And she's always going to be angry. Like Richard Wallace says in his book, a woman is never satisfied. So, I consider myself lucky. I've got a girlfriend who, by the way, she's studying medicine, so she's not a loser who's, just a little ditz on Instagram, as Tommy would say. But she has some appreciation for the fact that there's a man and there's a woman. Now, who knows? That could change. Maybe she'll turn into Tomi Lahren in a few years. The point is, though, that as a man, if you're going to be in a relationship, you have to choose carefully. Tomi Lahren would be a bad choice. As much as she's cute, we talk about white privilege. I think that's a silly concept, but there is definitely in the romantic market, there's privilege for white Nordic-looking women. Due to, on the one hand, the manosphere will be like, we're brothers till the end of time. Then they turn around and start promoting these racial hierarchies in dating. This is true of a lot of American women. It's just that typically the blondes are at the top of the totem pole, where they think that simply being attractive, simply existing as a woman, means that you need to be exalted and treated like a queen. It's like, no, character matters. If you're a bad person, if you are ungrateful, if you treat a man like trash because he really is into you, because he has good intentions, then, you should be ignored. You should have men walking away from you and not even paying you the time of day. So, that's my thoughts on Tomi Lahren. Let me know what you think. Many of you probably will be on her side, will be supporting her, and so it'll be very interesting.